Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Technically Track. Saying that we've been on a bit of a break because I've had a life. I went on vacation, went to my high school reunion, so just like, yeah, I need some me time for once. But we are back, hopefully better than ever, and we are going to be talking some some relationship kind of episodes. So, same little. Well, before I go into that, how have you been doing, Katie?
Well, I'm alive. Um, I've I've had quite a ditzy week. Um, the usual things like nearly putting mayo in my coffee and nearly pouring milk on a salad. Just general like regular things for me,
Well,
really.
they're both white, so they're easy to get confused.
Well, yeah, they're both white. You know.
One's just a slightly more viscous.
Yeah, but no, I'm alive. I got here and I got dressed for the show as well. You all nearly
Woohoo!
had me in my PJs.
Well, appreciate that being respectful of some of our fans, but
Well, I will warn everyone. Pajamas will make an appearance because I am the pajama queen. So they will
yeah,
make an appearance at some point.
you don't want my to see me in my pajamas, so
No, well, mine are mainly like my shirts, like tartan. But you know, Eeyore nearly made an appearance on the show tonight.
well, maybe eventually we'll get to see him make an appearance. But when I was first thinking about The Wire when we were going to do it several weeks ago, it's just like that friendship aspect because that's when like Bashir and Garrick really started to get things clicking because before it was just like the occasional just one off. Andrew Robinson, it was only going to be that one episode in the first season, but everyone liked him so much he kept on coming back and coming back and coming back. And
DS9 wouldn't be the same without Garrick. To be quite
no, it would
honest,
not.
he is one of the reasons why I carried on watching it.
Hmm. And apologies in advance. My allergies are kind of freaking out because again, went on vacation, so elevation and all that, still reacclimating to the higher altitude.
Yes, Dave is apologising for his allergies, but I am also apologising in advance for any camera malfunctions I may have. I
Well,
may zoom in extremely, I may zoom out. I also may hang upside down. So, Bat Katie might make an appearance tonight.
well, fingers crossed that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I don't know
But
what's wrong with my webcam, but it has a mind of its own. I think it may be possessed, so I'm going to cleanse it with some sage later.
mm, but as I was kind of alluding earlier, going back to my reunion, my 30-year reunion. Yeah, I'm old. Um, is saying that I had a lot more friends back home than I realized, and it's gonna looking like it's like the next 8-12 months. It's highly likely that that big old L I'm heading back there, heading back to the valley. We'll just have to see what the next 8 to 12 months pans out, but it's pretty high because like one thing that was something really personal is that my grade school bully. I mean, this is an individual who said that he was going to cut my ass off and feed it to his dog. He was pretty brutal with the bully, and this was in grade school in the '80s. But he was glad that I was at the reunion because he formally apologized for quote being an asshole to me.
So is yours.
Yeah, so I mean, I gave him a big old hug and I told him I forgave him, and now we're friends on
And good
Facebook.
for
So
you.
yeah,
Forgiveness is healing. Not for the person
exactly.
that you forgive, but for yourself. And that's the most important part of forgiving is, it helps to heal you.
Hmm.
Regardless of whether it helps the person you forgive, it it does heal you. And
Yeah,
I'm really happy that you was able to have that in your heart to be able to forgive someone who was so nasty to you.
mm. And the Friday I got back, I got my 3 month chip of sobriety. So
Woohoo!
I almost didn't make it to 91 days because I had a real shit day on on Saturday, but I held firm and had a good old conversation with my sponsor. So things are still going forward with that. I'm on 94 days now. Yeah, oh, 95 days.
I'm very proud of you
Yeah, I'm
for
on 95
resisting the
days.
temptation. I mean, I'm proud of you for your journey, for getting your 3 month chip, but I'm also really proud of you for resisting temptation, like
Yeah,
going through like a bit of a shit time, because that is difficult.
it was an interesting experience. The Saturday night, I tagged along with some of my classmates, and we did some bar hopping after we had dinner, and some of them were already drinking at that point. But saying it was funny because they were. See, what did I do with them? Well, I'd say I don't have the keys that I had for the weekend, but he was just after the bar closed. We were all outside. He was plunking on his phone. He's like, "What are you doing?" It's like getting an Uber. I'm like, "Hello." I already told everybody that I'd give people rides home if they had too much to drink, and sure enough, I did. So
Well, yeah, designated driver, you might as well put your sobriety to good use.
exactly. I did have one zero proof like a hard cider. Well, it was a cider. It wasn't a hard cider because there's no zero alcohol in it. So I gave the illusion that I was enjoying myself with everyone else without getting a buzz off of it. But anyways, saying if there's like no other like burning like things that you want to share, we're gonna got one listener so far popping in, so we're gonna bring him in, and we are going to start talking about. Let's see if I can remember all these buttons that I
There is
had
one thing
here.
I do want to mention before we get started, and
Oh,
that is,
Oh, there we
and
go.
it is
I was.
completely to do with the topic of the show, and that is friendship in general.
Well, speaking of
Uh,
friendship, there's Phil over there to your left is saying we've been
Welcome.
Facebook
Evening.
friends for like
Hello.
over 20 years at least. Back
Yeah.
there in the live journal days, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
But you were saying, Katie?
I just want to briefly just mention friendship in general, um, because one of the things that I love so much about Trek is the reality of the shows.
Hmm.
Even though it is complete like science fiction and it isn't reality, there's still a lot of reality within it. I mean, aside from the subjects that it covers, the hidden messages, some not so hidden,
Mm-hmm.
but the friendships that evolve within the shows is one of the reasons why I love it so much, because it don't just have all these like you see in a lot of shows, like friendship is all, oh, I love you, give me a hug, and it's like, all right, hugs are life, but friendship isn't like that. There is ups and downs, there is arguments, there's an evolution. Sometimes people who really don't like each other or mistrust one another can become the best of friends, and we see that with Garrick and Julian, and also with Julian and Miles. And it it's a nice thing that they do include real life within this, because friendship isn't all sunshine and roses, and Trek covers that. And that's what I love about it, and especially in this episode as well. I mean, what the Julian and Garrick, they've known each other for a year. They've been, well, just over a year. They've been having a meal together every week for that time, and they are friends, but it's not exactly a smooth friendship, and there's a lot of cloak and dagger within it, mainly from Garrick. But Julian can't really throw stones because he's hiding a big whopper of a secret anyway. So, which obviously we don't find out until, what is it, season 5, season
Something
6?
like that, yeah.
But it Yeah, there's a reality to their friendship that I love. Oh, hi, Marla. But no, I really do love it. And I love the evolution of their friendship as well, as much as I love the evolution of Julian and Miles's friendship.
Hmm. And it's funny you're mentioning like Miles and Julia because that's going to be I've already decided that's going to be next week's episode. We're going to talk the episode Armageddon Game when their friendship I think finally solidified and was able to blossom into what it was by the end of the series. And
Yeah.
then the week after that, we're going to jump over to Voyager, talk the episode The Shoot with where Tom and Harry finally really start clicking on all cylinders.
Wow, I've not seen that episode for years.
Well, now you got a reason to watch it. But yeah, Philip, your time is a little more finite, so I'm going to hand the mic over to you and get like some of your thoughts on the
Hi,
episode.
good evening. First of
Good
all, hello
evening,
everyone.
Good
or,
evening,
Um,
or
Master.
Katie, it's good morning.
um, two things if I could just mention, Red, really quick to get out of the way. One, if you happen to hear some noises, hopefully you can hear me. I'm going to bring the mic closer.
Oh,
If
your
you happen
kids
to
are
hear
fine.
some noises, they're doing some work on the unit above me, and it's been really loud for the past 2 weeks, and it's been kind of a little obnoxious. So if you hear some noises, I apologize. Hopefully the mic won't pick it up. Um,
But
and
they're doing work at this hour.
Yeah, it's a bit of an issue right now. Actually, they've been doing it really late, and we're kind of there's some tension right now with the building management, and they wanted to redo the flooring on the unit above me for some strange reason because there was nothing wrong with the old flooring. But anyways, they've been doing it really late, and the residents here are getting really angry, and there's a lot
Yeah,
of tension right now with the management company. So
yeah,
What time zone are you in?
so right now it's a quarter after 8.
yeah. He's just down the road from Mala, pretty much.
Oh, so
That's right too.
yeah,
Yes, that's right. Hi, Mala. How are you? I forgot about that. Yeah, she's in
yeah, it's
she's in
quite
Toronto.
late where
Yeah,
you are, isn't it?
it
I'm
is.
very
Yeah,
surprised.
they're not
I
supposed to, but
Yeah, because here in the states, they're not allowed to do any type of like labor work after 7 local time.
7.
So
Yeah, same
Yeah,
here.
I
They're
think
not
it's the
technically
same
supposed to
here
do.
as well, to be
Yeah,
honest. Unless it's like emergency works, or
sure.
like certain road works. We had
Right.
major road works going on, repairing the road that runs
Hmm.
right along the side of the building, and they did that overnight.
And it's supposed to be the same here. 7 o'clock. And if it's in a rural area, like it's everything's supposed to stop at 7, but they're kind of pushing their luck right now with it. So it's a bit of a there's a lot of tension with it right now because they're trying to push this to get it finished so they can rent it, but they're kind of bending a lot of rules, and it's a whole thing I won't get into right now. But it's a bit messy right now with the building. But and also, yes, I've developed a bit of a what's called a Colossian. It's a type of sty, and I probably no one else has seen it, but I know it's there, and I'm looking right at it, so I'm like,
yeah,
I apologize.
I
Nobody's
noticed it. I
punched
wasn't
me.
going to say anything.
Yeah, no one's punched me or anything. It's just it's developed, and it takes a while for them to go away. So I am getting some. The doctor's
Oh,
seen it. I'm just waiting for some meds for it. So
I
it's fine.
understand.
But yeah.
You said it's a type of sty.
Yeah, it's called a Colossian or Chalazian, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
suffer from styes almost constantly in both of my eyes, and that sometimes mine get like that, and like on top as well. And sometimes I can't
Yeah.
open my eye
Mm.
because it is
Wow.
my eye swells closed, and it really does look like I've been punched because I have dark circles under my eyes from lack of sleep,
Right.
because of my insomnia. So when I get a sty and it
Yeah.
blows my eye up, I'm just like, I really haven't been in a fight.
Oh wow, that's bad. Normally these are like really small. I get them frequently as well, but they're usually very small and not like this. This one's particularly bad. So for me, but
Well, I'm sending you a lot of healing, darling, and if
thank
you need
you
a
very
food
much. I
combination
appreciate
of any
it.
of those workmen, just let me know.
Thank you. So I guess with all that out of the way, I guess talk about the episode. I watched the episode and I took some notes, And then Dave messaged me and said he was going away. And I was like, damn, I was looking forward to sort of talking about it. Now I can't find my notes anywhere, so I'm going. I remember the episode. Dave messaged me like about an hour and a half ago. He's like, "Yeah, we're doing it tonight." I'm like, "Oh God!" I thought it was next week for some reason. I thought that was we were back up, but yeah, so I'm not gonna have time to rewatch it. I'll just go for my notes. Now I can't find my notes anywhere, so this is all going to kind of be just off of memory from what I saw. But it's been ages since I've seen Deep Space Nine. I haven't watched episodes. I don't think I even got through the entire series, but just life, and I never ended up going back to it. It was the same with Voyager. I know I caught like chunks of it, but missed the whole thing. And one day I'll have to go back and fill in those gaps and see. I saw like the really big ones that everyone talks about, but some of the smaller episodes I've missed. I'll have to go back and watch some. But yeah, I missed a lot. It was yeah, but no, it was actually interesting watching that episode because I feel weirdly like I had seen it ages ago and I just but I couldn't remember anything about it, but I feel like I know I watched it. And
Well,
the one thing that actually came to mind was I remember last week saying years ago when I watched Deep Space Nine how I found it at the time. I found like it picked up for me when the war started, but now coming back and watching them again, I'm like, I like these little character stories. Maybe it's because so many TV shows now really kind of delve into things like that on a grander scale that it was nice to sort of bring in on these characters. And it was a very contained episode. Like it was just really simple sets. I mean, there was probably like only about 5 or 6 whole sets they did through the whole thing, and just really concentrated on the dynamics of these two characters, and really good acting too from both of them. That was
phenomenal.
just very underrated, I thought. But no, it was interesting the dynamics of them being friends, but the clashing of it. I think there was a scene earlier on where Bashir kind of was like, "Well, we're not really friends, but we sort of are." But it was that I thought was kind of like suppressing the fact that yes, he is. Yeah, there is a bit of a bond forming there, but he kind of didn't really want to come out and admit that.
Yeah, that was when he was talking to Jadzia, wasn't it? When he was doing a medical on her house plant.
And but yeah,
oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he like stuck it. And
that's right. Yes, yeah. So I have to go back and watch it. But no, I'm glad I watched it. It kind of I've been so past 3 weeks have been awful right now. I haven't been able to get anything done, but I'd like to actually kind of sit and watch some old episodes again of both. I've seen all of Next Gen several times, and I feel like I've kind of like been through over and over again. But it was Voyager and Deep Space Nine that I kind of never delved in as deep as I did in Next Gen, of course, back then when I was younger. But now I'd kind of like to revisit some of those now, and it kind of like, oh, these are really good. So yeah,
I much prefer like season 1 to 4 of DS9 than the rest of it. There's the odd episodes in the later seasons that I really do love, and I love the majority of Voyager, but this episode for me is one of those episodes that, even though it's quite a powerful episode, it's one that I always forget exists, because it's not very often that I will choose to watch DS9, because it's probably like my least favorite. Well, TOS is, but we don't speak about that in my presence.
Right.
But no, out of all of them, it is DS9. That's my least favorite. But there are a lot of episodes in it that I do love, and I'd actually forgotten how much I love this episode. Because yeah, when Julian's talking to Jadzia about Garak and not admitting that he finds him more of a friend than probably he'd care to admit, especially more than Garrick would like to admit as well. But there's so much chemistry between them. There really is. I mean, I don't know why, but sometimes I'm just like, well, you two just kiss and get it over with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Honestly, it's that kind of relationship.
Yeah.
No, but you guys talking about it. So that was one of the notes I put on here when Garrick's going through his withdrawals, and Garrick's just like, hasn't anyone told you that you're an inferiority pest? And he's like, Chief O'Brien all the time. I don't listen to him either.
Yeah. That was actually one of the scenes where I'm just like, well, you two just kiss and get it out your system. That was like one of the moments that I thought that, and I'm just like, I'm such a bad person. You know, I really shouldn't be thinking this, because that's not what this show's about. That's not what their relationship is. But come on, just get it out your systems, love.
At least just verbalize it anyways. Just at least say, you know. That...
Sorry, just my ears are just really itchy today.
But no, the struggle that Julian has with Garrick in general fascinates me. Because I mean, I am not ashamed to admit it, I swear it's a genetic thing, but I'm nosy as hell. I really, not in a malicious way, but I think it's all part of my OCD and like my mental health. I don't like questions being unanswered. I refuse to watch a show if I know that it ends on a cliffhanger. You know, this is why I haven't watched Stargate Universe, because it ends on a cliffhanger. I refuse to watch it because I like the closure. I don't like unanswered questions. It's like a compulsion. It's weird. And the fact that Bashir knows that Garrick is keeping so much from him and being so blasé about it, and almost getting off on the fact that he's pulling the wool over Julian's eyes and leading him down the garden path and confusing the hell out of him. I take my hat off to Julian for not doing like an in-depth like FBI search on him. You know, that is a lot of like inner strength and acceptance, and that's one thing I love about Julian. You know, because he's not that type of personality. He is one of those people where if there is something there, he wants to get to the bottom of it. And he will get to the bottom of it. But when it comes to Garrick, he is more patient than he seems. And he's a lot more accepting than he seems as well, even though he's always questioning things and complaining. He didn't do anything about it. So that for me there shows like true friendship.
Yeah, and some little notes that I found while researching the episode. This is the only time we've heard Julian's full name. Julian Subatoy Bashir. As it was Tane mentioned it. Never heard the name ever again throughout the rest of the series. But and it was also the first mention.
I didn't know he had a middle name. I completely forgot. I really did. So it's like I'm a bad Trekkie. I really am.
Just not a bad Trekkie, just not a fully enlightened, informed Trekkie. It sounds.
In all honesty, I can barely remember which way it is to my bathroom and kitchen. You know, let alone an episode that I've not seen for God knows how long. So yeah, I forget a lot of things. So you'll have to forgive me. That's the main thing that makes me a bad Trekkie is my memory. So I do apologize.
It's all good. Hakuna Matata, as they say in the jungle. But this is also the first mention of the Obsidian Order in the series. We're almost to the end of season 2, and we've learned of the Obsidian Order. It was originally, I found out, supposed to be called the Grey Order. But Babylon 5 had a gray order, so they changed it up so because they've already been dealing with Buttonhead saying, "Oh, DS9 is just a ripoff of B5," and but yeah, so they
I've
changed it
heard that
to.
a hell of a lot. Now, I've never seen Babylon 5. I've
I've seen a
never
few. I've
really,
seen a few episodes, but like
never
the
really wanted
crappy
to watch
CGI was a big turnoff for me. It
You
just
see,
looked
me,
cheap.
crappy CGI really don't come into it. If it's a good story, I really don't care if there's you can see the strings when people are flying through the air. I really don't care. I mean, I watched Thunderbirds as a kid, and you can see the strings with the puppets, So I don't mind bad CGI. It's bad story that gets me. But I've seen advertisements for Babylon 5, and I'm just like, I don't think that's for me. And then I've heard so much about DS9 being a rip-off of it, and it kind of makes me want to watch Babylon 5, but then I'm like, no.
I had so many friends that watched it. It got to the point that I was hearing more about it and I always kind of intended to watch it, but back in the this was in the 90s when it aired, I think the mid to late 90s. And the series had progressed so far, and I knew that I would have to kind of go back and find a way to go back and watch episodes. And I've always wanted to at the time. But friends were talking about it. You go to Star Trek conventions, and everybody would be, all my friends had the full costumes to it. They loved it. I had a couple of friends of mine that absolutely loved that show. But I never had the opportunity to actually sit, and I think I got through halfway through the first season, and then something kind of interrupted in my life. And I was never able to kind of continue with it. I was fascinated with it, and like you, Katie, I didn't care about the effects. Like you said, you could be on a string hanging over background, but as long as the dialogue is good and the story is good, I used to love watching classic Doctor Who growing up. So, sorry, but as far as
sorry, that's another thing I can't stand.
Oh, sorry. But again, I
and you're British.
The simple sets or backdrops, but as long as the story was good and the characters were good and it was engaging for me, then I could watch it. But yeah, so but it never. I heard so much about it at the time, but I never. It was like Battlestar Galactica too. I never did end up watching that.
I've never seen that either, but there is somebody in it who I absolutely love, and I wouldn't mind watching it just for her, and that's Trisha Helfer.
Okay.
I absolutely love her. She is like royalty, she is classed as sci-fi royalty, like cult classic sci-fi royalty, and she's an amazing actress. So I actually want to see Battlestar Galactica because of her. But Farscape's another one as well. I only watched Farscape this year.
Yeah.
I still haven't seen the 2-part movie. I can't remember what it's called.
Farscape, again, another one. I caught all these bits and pieces of it. Never was able to sit and watch the whole thing, but I was fascinated by it. All the puppet work.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
that's Jim Henson.
Adore it.
Yes, yeah.
But no,
it's got one of my favorite actresses in, Claudia Black.
Okay.
I mean, I love Claudia and Ben Browder as well. They were both in the final 2 seasons of Stargate SG-1 together. Years after they were in Farscape together, and a
little side note on that, though, the fact when Stargate actually did a Martin episode where he was coming up with all these ideas and stuff, and Vala was pitching these ideas and pitched a Farscape, and he's like, nope, never heard of it, don't know what you're referencing there.
Yeah, that's the 200th episode. But I was always really skeptical on watching Farscape, but I watched it this year, and oh my god, it's amazing. Like I said, I'm still gonna watch the 2-part movie.
The Peacekeeper Wars.
I don't know if they still are, but I know Shout Factory on YouTube has been running has been running series, and they had a Farscape marathon, and I realized I had missed almost the whole thing by the time I kind of discovered it. But I went and sat in on a couple of episodes, and but yeah, I was like, damn, I wish I'd known this was sooner. So I don't know if I can. I should actually see if I can still go back and watch them. But on YouTube, I know Shout Factory was running Farscape for a while.
I had a subscription for something through my Amazon Prime just for Farscape, and I can, for love nor money, I cannot remember what the subscription was. But I don't have it anymore because I've watched Farscape. But when I go back and watch all of these things now, I'm not even going to mention Stargate in this. I'm putting Stargate out of the equation, or a lot of Trekkies might hate me. But out of all of the sci-fi shows that I've seen, Star Trek has always been like there for me. And considering I hated it for like the first 13 years of my life, it's become a really big part of my life, and I've met some amazing people because of my love of Star Trek. Dave included, yourself, Marla, Manu, Cassie, the whole of the DT family, all because of my love of Trek and our shared love of Trek. But I didn't realize until getting in with the DT lot, I didn't realize how much of a geek I was. I really didn't. And then I started, like even with like comic books and things like that. I don't do comic books. I don't. But the shows and the movies, like the DC world, the Marvel world. I started going to conventions and things like that, and I actually didn't realize how much of a geek I was and how much about Trek I actually know until I started talking about it with like Dave and Travis. Oh, well, especially Travis. I mean, he's like Rain Man. Honestly, I nicknamed Travis Rain Man because he knows everything. But it always seems to come back to Trek, and yeah, there's just something about it that is very magnetic, and I think it is the reality that is within the fiction. I think that's what gets people, because I think that's one thing that got me. I mean, aside from the book, but I think it is the reality that got me. Just like in the episode that we're discussing, The Wire, it's very real. I mean, it deals with friendship solidifying, ups and downs of friendships, extreme addiction,
and withdrawals.
Pardon?
And the withdrawal symptoms, which it just like cut cold turkey.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot in this episode that resonates with me, and I didn't realize just how much until I watched it, and I'm like, oh shit. This episode goes a lot deeper than what is presented on the surface, and they're the kind of episodes I love. I love the much deeper, more psychological episodes, and this is one of them.
Can I mention just super quick? Now, I don't want to jump too far off topic, but if anyone happens to be interested, sorry, I said Shout Factory. I think it's Shout Studios on YouTube. They actually do have Farscape running live right now, as well as a bunch of like Jerry Anderson stuff. There's all kinds of shows that are all running live. There's Elvira, a whole bunch of stuff. But if you're ever on YouTube on Shout Studios, a whole bunch of shows are running live. So I never realized this until I kind of went to go look for it, and I was like, oh wow, there's like there's like about 20, 30 shows they've actually got running live right now.
Right on.
Oh.
So,
But with the episode, there are a lot of firsts in this episode. Like I said, the first heard Julian's middle name, uh, first mention of the like I said the Obsidian Order, first mention of Cardassia Prime. It was named. That's the name of the Cardassian homeworld. Was Cardassian Prime? That was first dropped in this episode. I think I can't say for certain, but I think this is the first time Julian did a McCoy say, "I'm a doctor, not a." In this case, I'm a doctor, not a botanist.
right, I remember that. If that made me laugh actually when I heard that.
And this was the first episode a woman directed a DS9 episode, Kim Friedman.
Oh, okay.
And I don't have a list of the other episodes she's done, but the ones that she had directed were quote unquote crucial episodes for the series. This, of course, being the first crucial episode that some people refer to it as. But yeah, Tane was only supposed to have been in this one episode, but the fans loved him so much they brought him back for that 2-part episode when the Dominion started to ramp up with when they collaborated with the Cardassians to attack the Founder homeworld. And the first appearance of Kanar.
I'd love to try that stuff.
And apparently there's like a variety of Kanar. That's why every time you've seen an episode, that doesn't look like the Kanar from the last episode. So there's like 3 or 4 different varieties.
Which one's Kanar again?
It's
the blue stuff.
Well, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's like more like viscous and brown. But again, with this, that's never going to happen for me anymore.
Right.
So
I'll have your share then. That's fine.
That works.
Yeah.
I'll take a whiff of it. I probably get drunk off the fumes.
I love that. Just get drunk off life, Dave.
Yeah, I mean there are good days and bad days, so hopefully there are going to be more good days. So
sure there will be, darling.
Sure.
But I think like I forget because it's been a few weeks since I wrote all my notes for the episode. Didn't rewatch it again before tonight. But Cisco only had one scene in that episode, and he was in the infirmary just like sore throat, and Bashir's just like, it's like, no shout, no more yelling. He's like, I wasn't yelling, I was just expressing my feelings loudly.
So can I just say that when that that tiny little scene was the first time that I actually liked Cisco.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. When I first ever watched it, because as I was watching it, I remembered when I first watched the episode, quite a few years ago now. And oh, holy crap, what's going on? Sorry, my antivirus just pitched a hissy fit. But yeah, it was the first time that I actually liked Cisco when he said I wasn't yelling, I was just expressing my opinions loudly or feelings or whatever he said, and it's just like
feelings.
Yeah, I get that. You know, it's healthy to do that. You know, express your feelings and do it loudly, lad. You know, and yeah, that was the first time I thought, well, you know, maybe Cisco isn't all that bad. But yeah, for like 2 full seasons, I was just like, please replace him, like kill him off. Just, you know, I really didn't like him. He is more pompous and self-righteous than Janeway ever was. And it takes him a hell of a lot longer to ease off with it as well. And a lot of people get quite shocked when I say that. But because of how laid back Cisco is, it doesn't come across that he's pompous and self-righteous a lot of the time, but he really is. And that's one of the reasons why I I always disliked him. To be honest, I'm still not too keen on Cisco. He's very hypocritical as well in a lot of his opinions, a lot of the things he does, a lot of the things he says, because he's got no room to throw stones. And it's like I said earlier about Julian. I think that one of the reasons why he doesn't do all this research on Garrick is because he understands the need to keep secrets sometimes. But a lot of Cisco, there's no need for him to hide a lot of his personality. There are times when his like full personality comes through, and it's like, finally, that is what we need. But then he reverts back, and I'm just like, no. And there's no solid evolution with that neither. It's not that it starts off like it and then evolves. He's just really up and down like this throughout the entire 7 seasons. And whereas when you look at Janeway, she started off all pompous and self-righteous, but she evolved, and you saw her evolution. Yeah, don't get me wrong, she could still be a bit pompous sometimes and all the Starfleet righteousness, but
I guess it depended on what hairdo she was wearing that day.
exactly, yeah, and how much coffee she had, because Janeway's a lot like me. If she hasn't had her anti-homicide juice, don't get on her bad side. She probably hadn't had any coffee that day when the Tuvix incident happened.
There's that episode where Neelix tried to broach her, say, "Coffee first." She takes a sip, just like, okay, now what we're gonna do?
Yeah, this is why I resonate with Janeway so much. But no, you saw the evolution with her, whereas with Cisco, the only way in which he evolved is he started kind of believing this emissary thing. That's the only way in which he evolved. And other than that, his personality had no evolution whatsoever. It's like he was just frozen throughout. But so yeah, that is like the first time that I actually liked Cisco was actually in The Wire.
Interesting. But one thing that I always kind of wondered about, because Garrick just checked himself out of the infirmary in the middle of the night. Doesn't Bashir have staff that work there at night? It's just like you have a thought on that, Philip?
Staff on call.
Is there really kind of a night and day when it's on the station? Because I would think, there would be just 24-hour service, but unless
they're 26 hours on Bajor, but yeah.
Oh, right, yes. Sorry, I forgot about that. But that's.
But yeah, see, they're hospitals. They got round the clock staff, so you'd think the infirmary would have it, because accidents happen at any time of day or night, so you want to have someone there.
Seems like that crossed my mind when I was watching it. Yeah, I thought there's nobody there. Like, what if somebody, unless they have emergency standby staff? I don't know.
Yeah.
No, if you've been on a hospital ward, like if you're actually a patient on a ward in a hospital, there's hardly any staff around.
Oh.
But it's like a skeleton staff on the overnight shift. The only place that isn't really manned overnight with skeleton staff is the emergency department, and I think the ICU. And like obviously like your neonatal units and things like that. I think they're the only departments that are fully staffed 24/7 because of the need. But general hospital wards, there's more or less no staff on a night time. So it was probably the same there. Just like emergency staff on call.
Right. It's been a long time since I've been to a hospital really late. So.
But we do learn, like, later in the series when the augments kicked whoever was on duty out of the office. Admiral Packard said, "That's a stupid question." And
Right. Actually, if I could ask a question, this is sort of jumping slightly off topic a little bit, but I was thinking
it's
about this. I
technically
wanted to
track.
ask before we, it's related to the episode, but the book he was talking about at the very beginning, when Garrick was all excited about Bashir reading this book, and Bashir just kind of found it boring, and he was really really angry about that.
Yeah, he
But
took
I
great offense
feel
to
like
it.
there was
The net.
something. Is there more behind that? Like, has that been? I feel like I came into like the middle of something that may have been discussed previously, and I thought, is there something more about this, or was this just sort of a catalyst for the episode?
The Never-Ending Sacrifice, I think, is the name of the book, if I recall correctly.
Right.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Say
But
the
no, I
Cardassian
understand what.
literature.
To be honest, if I was to have read that book, if it was just the same thing with each generation of family over and over again, I'd have probably thrown the book at the wall.
I guess
I really would.
I guess it had some personal meaning to him, of course. To Garrick, that really meant a lot to him. But Bashir, there's no connection to it. So, but was there any mention of that in a previous episode? Do you know, Dave? Like, do you or was that just, as I said, like a catalyst for this episode to kind of get it?
I don't think they ever mentioned books in the past. I'd say I'd have to dig in and look into that. I didn't think of that, but I know he mentioned another book at the end of the episode, but I don't remember what the name of that book is.
Yeah, I can't remember. I only watched it about an hour before the show as well. But now I think that at some point something was briefly mentioned about not relating to this book and the Never-Ending Sacrifice or anything like that, but I think something was briefly mentioned in a previous episode about like differences in literature or something. So I think that kind of just links back to a previous conversation of something that was just mentioned, so that there was like a bit of a flow to it.
Okay, all right. Because as I said, I felt like when he mentioned it, like this was something that may have been mentioned, and I came into the middle of something to do with that, and I thought, oh, maybe I'm missing something here. So
no, I can't be certain if it was that what was mentioned or I'm thinking of something totally different. But I'm sure that in one of the previous episodes that they were speaking about like literature from Earth and Cardassia, and that said something about an exchange of literature or something like that. I could be making things up in my head, and I'm sorry to any viewers if I am. But something in the back of my mind is telling me that I'm not just making it up. I do think there was a previous conversation about the differences in telling stories or whatever.
Anyways, yeah, I was just wondering about that, and I thought when I chat about this, I would have to ask about that book just to.
Well, it's a good question. So yeah, it's.
You've got me thinking. That's really bugging me. Don't even. This is going to really bother me now.
I just wondered if it had maybe been brought up in a previous episode, and maybe there was something about it, and or maybe the previous episode he told him to read it and hand it to him, and then they just sort of followed up on that. But I just wondered if maybe there was something in there about that. But
this is really going to bother me.
It just was maybe just they wrote it in just as a catalyst to start the relationship, to get them butting heads on it, and so that's.
I'm going to have to do a DS9 rewatch at least of the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It's really bothering me now. I'm going to have to watch Torchwood and then get watching DS9.
Sorry.
I forgot to mention earlier, you do not need to have your camera on to participate in this conversation. If you're camera shy, that's cool. I used to be pretty darn camera shy. You can you can still use your microphone just like the old Twitter Space days, and still partake in the conversation. And say, or if you're on your mobile device, you can still like do it over voice and voice only, and say that's totally cool. You can have a little avatar so we know that you're talking and whatnot. But be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you are enjoying these dives into old Star Trek episodes until we get Lower Decks, which starts October 24th. So the following Wednesdays we'll start talking about new episodes again. So looking forward to
Is
that.
that a Thursday?
Yeah, it's just like before. Every third, yeah, pretty darn sure October 24th
Right,
is the
so
first.
that'll be like 8 a.m. Friday morning for me then.
Yep.
But I
And
mean, it don't really matter. I mean, I'm not really on social media much anymore, so it's mainly Twitter that I've got to avoid. And I don't really scroll through Twitter anymore, so I can avoid spoilers and just watch the episode right before the show.
yeah, I remember back in the day, Travis and I, we would call each other. We'd like watch it together on Paramount Plus. Like 3, 2, 1, hit play, and we were watching it. We were usually sometimes we were spot on. Oftentimes we were like a few seconds off of each other.
I came into Lower Decks prepared to not like it. Like when I saw the ads for it, I was just thought
Same.
this is a terrible idea, and I sort of thought, okay, I would heard of positive things about it, and I watched the first episode, and I'm like, oh, there's some good things here, some good, some bad. I was trying to be picky about it, and then I found myself watching another and watching another. I'm like, okay, I'm kind of enjoying this now. So
Yeah, like the number of Easter eggs that they've been dropping in that
yes.
show is just like crazy.
Oh yeah, they've definitely tied it right into the whole universe. Definitely, they just put this comedic twist on it, but otherwise, though, it's tied right into the whole thing.
And I still need to get to Prodigy. I misunderstood. My Airbnb said, "Ooh, you can watch Netflix." It's like, oh, you got to use your own account for Netflix.
No, yeah,
So
yeah, you can't do that anymore.
I accidentally left my Pluto TV account logged into the smart TV at the.
Oh, I
Oh,
can't get
dear.
Pluto here now. I can't
What's
get it.
that?
I don't think I can get Pluto in Canada.
Hmm.
Yeah, there was some things on it. Watch, I can get. I have Tubi, which is free. There's actually a lot on that we actually watch, but
We get Freebie over here.
We have it freebie here as well.
what's that? Free
Freebie. It's an
Freebie?
Amazon. Yeah, it's
Oh,
an
I don't
Amazon
know that
offshoot.
one. Okay. Like FREEVE?
FREEVUE.
V
Or no, three V's. Yeah.
Free View?
FREEVE.
VE? Okay, I'm gonna actually write that down. I will look for that. Because if you have it in the UK, then
Yeah,
chances you should have it in Canada, but
I don't watch a lot on Freebie, but there is one series that I do watch. There's only 3 seasons of it. Unfortunately, there is going to be no more. But it's Alex Rider.
okay.
Now, I have the book series, like the entire collection. I only discovered it about 2 years ago. But I love the books, and even though these 3 seasons are extremely different to the books that they're based on, they have been done so brilliantly that, you know, I've not heard any bad things from the fans about the differences in them, which is rare. It's very rare with book adaptations, but they have been done so well. It's absolutely amazing. But there are some good things on Freebie, I think. And I do need to check it out for more than just Alex Rider.
Okay. Yeah, I'm dumping. I've sort of lost one of my part-time jobs here, so I'm sort of dumping a lot of services right now until I can kind of get my finances back up. But I've kind of lost about an extra $250 a month. So
Hey, that's never good.
Yeah.
But once see what did I do with them here? Hold on.
So
I go down.
not renewing Disney. We have Disney because my roommate really wanted it. We split it, but it keeps going up in price to some. It's now astronomical price for the year, and I'm not gonna buy. I don't watch it enough
Yeah,
to make it worth my
it's over
while.
it's over £100 here now a
Yeah,
year, the annual fee. But I still have to have Disney because every now and again I like to have a Disney binge. I am
right.
like a Disney queen,
Sure. Yeah.
like Disney, coffee, pajamas, a teddy
Yeah.
to cuddle. You know
Yeah.
that is my idea of heaven.
Yeah.
Um, and and as well, there's a lot more things on Disney as well. I mean, I can get Criminal Minds on there. I can get
Oh,
NCIS.
all right.
I mean, I can get these on Paramount as well, but
Hmm.
um, there's the Disney movies. There's the MCU. Every now and again, I do like to have an Avengers binge.
Sure.
The only thing that I don't watch on Disney is the Star Wars because
Right.
I'm a Trekkie.
Yeah.
I don't really do the only decent Star Wars that I've ever seen really is the originals.
Yeah.
Like the originals before they started getting like because what is A New Hope, Attack of the Clones, and Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi were the first three.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Return of
Those
the
for me
Jedi.
still resonate with me. Everything after that was just all extra fluff, but those first three just were very special to me as a child when I grew up. And nothing's been ever to kind of they can't kind of match what made them so special at that time in that time period. So yeah.
Yeah, the
So,
originals for me are that they're the only decent ones in my opinion.
hmm.
The games aren't bad. I used to play Jedi Academy,
Oh yeah.
but yeah,
In the 80s though, I started really, when as Star Wars kind of ended, I started getting back into Star Trek. Now it was the original series, but I appreciated it for what it was at the time because I was young and I watched them on TV when I was really little, and so there was something about them that in what they were that I liked. But I started going to the movies and watching the movies in the 80s because that was the big thing in the 80s, right? You went in the 80s and 90s. So, and then eventually kind of just led into next gen when it started. But I really enjoyed watching those movies at the theater when I missed the first three in the cinema. I missed the motion picture because I heard it was terrible, and then I didn't see search. I didn't see the
Wrath of
second one
Khan.
in the cinema because everybody spoiled it as soon as everybody went and saw it. Everybody talked about it at school and spoiled the entire ending, and it kind of pissed me off. And then I had missed the third because I forget what happened. I didn't end up seeing. I think I could only see so many movies that summer, and I saw like Indiana Jones and something else. But when the fourth one, I went, I'm seeing this in the cinema. I've missed the first three. I'm going to see the whales. Save the whale one. And that was the first one I went and saw in the cinema. And I had such a great time. I saw it twice that summer. It was such a blast for me. But yeah, and then I saw every one since. Every one of them I've seen in the cinema since then.
I've never seen a Star Trek movie in the cinema.
Oh, is that right? Oh, yeah.
No.
I saw Star Trek Generations 4 times opening weekend.
Oh, wow.
I went Thursday night, I went Friday night, I went Saturday night, and I did Sunday matinee.
Uh,
And then I did another 4 times the next weekend.
I can say they have had multiple special showings of Star Trek 2. So I've been to see it in the cinema a couple of times, but one of them was actually an original print from 1982. They got,
Wow.
so it was an actual film print, and so to see that kind of on film was a real treat when I saw that in Toronto. Yeah, so I can say I've seen the second one now. In this,
Yeah.
that was about 4 years ago, but so
Yeah, but you were talking about bills and stuff. But see, I created a little card, just like this is a bill, this is a bill, this is a bill, this is a bill,
oh
this is a goal. And say I got bills and goals, and I'm gonna eventually get a cork board and put it on
That's a
my
good
wall
idea.
and stick it up there so I can visualize where my money is going.
That's a really good idea. I might steal that. That's
Go right
brilliant.
ahead. I'm sure I'm not the first
Yeah.
person to come up with the idea, but I'm just like,
Yeah.
it's an idea. Because, like I said, going home to my reunion, it's just like in something tells me I need to go back. There's
Right.
just that voice in the back of my head. You need to go back, and saying
Yeah, we
so
got to do that.
that is the 12 month plan.
Life is short, so yeah. Yeah.
Just need to turn my camera off a minute, but I am still here.
Okay. No worries.
But yeah, saying the person that was kind of spearheaded the reunion this year, she doesn't want to do it again. So I'm thinking, I think with my experience planning, excuse me, glisten events and whatnot, I think I can give it enough time. We can put together a really good 35-year reunion now that we're going to be doing it every 5 instead of every 10.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
We're losing too many classmates already, so we want to meet every 5 years while we're still kicking.
Yeah. Yeah, when it gets to that point.
No, it's good to keep in touch with people. I mean, high school reunions aren't as big of a thing over here as they are in the States.
Well, for the younger kids, they're not that big of a thing either anymore.
Well, I mean, I've never heard a whisper about any form of high school reunion to any of the high schools I've been to. I mean, the longest I was at any high school was my first one. I was there for 2 years. But I moved around a lot when I was younger. But I
never went to any.
I don't know. It's just not as much of a big thing over here. I'm only in touch with like 2 of my old school friends. One of which is my best friend. But we were out of touch for a lot of years. And it is good to have that connection, especially it's needed. Sometimes it is very needed. And I've actually said to that, like, my 2 best friends, I've said to them both, if King Edward's ever have a high school reunion, I want to go as like their +1 or something, because nobody will know who I am. Nobody will recognize me.
Yeah, true.
I had a change of names. So it'd be like that'd be really fun for me. I could like really get to play on that. I mean, I wouldn't lie, if someone was just like, that's who you are, I'd be like, yes it is, that's who I am. I'm not going to mention my birth name on a show, but I would love to go to a reunion just to see what everybody's like now. And just to be nosy, like I say, genetic nosiness, and it must be genetic.
Well,
couldn't myself. There's people I don't want to see again. So
same. I mean, there's this one person, one lad from who I went to school with. He was that obsessed with me. He spent years looking for me after I left. And then I had to report him on all social media and stuff because he was getting a bit too obsessed. But yeah, that was bad. But it'd be fun to see some people again.
Well, let me ask you this question to the 2 of you: how big was your graduating class?
I never graduated high school.
Oh God. It was a good size. I don't even remember for high school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I went to pretty decent sized high school. I mean, to me, it seemed like it. It was, probably maybe average for North America, but it was a pretty decent size, though. Yeah, I don't even remember that much about it. It's all kind of a blur.
Yeah, mine
Even
was
when college.
mine was 398, just shy of 400 people in my graduating class.
I honestly don't know, because the last couple of years of high school for me, I barely went, and like that final year, I was home educated, so I have no idea. I didn't graduate high school. I'm not ashamed of it, but it. I don't think I went to a high school long enough, to be quite honest, to be able to graduate.
I'm surprised I finished out mine. I really didn't like school at all. Mind you, public school was worse for me. High school, I got a little more out of it. And I think the last year or so in high school, I enjoyed a bit more because I knew I had a direction for my life. I knew what I wanted to do at the time. So I was kind of thought, okay, I need to get through this.
Yeah.
Finish it and then go on. So I took a 2-year special arts program and then went to 4 years of traditional animation and then and so I did another 6 years of schooling after that. But yeah, I remember that I kind of didn't even care about graduating. I just wanted to get all the credits I needed to finish so that I could go on and take the art programs that I needed to take at the time. But yeah, high school friends. I got friends that were in different years than me. Like I was kind of somehow I wound up making friends with some people who were a year behind me, and
Yeah, same.
it was very odd.
I've had a few like that too. So
yeah, but people that were in my year, I don't think I still know. There's a couple. Actually, I should say there's a couple. But
and the more people I talk to about stuff like that, I guess I'm the abnormal one. But again, I was a sports editor for 2 years, so that definitely
oh,
put me
right.
in a clique of itself. But
Yeah.
most
What
of the
again? Sorry, what was that again? You were a
sports editor
sports editor. Okay, all right, all right.
for the school paper.
Yeah,
But yeah, most of the rest of the editorial board were all a year behind me.
right.
So I think it was just me and Heather. She was the chief photographer. We were the only seniors on the editorial board. Everyone else was like juniors.
Oh, okay.
I tend to make friends with kids that were like ahead of me as well. And I had a lot of friends in other high schools. I mean, I used to skip classes at the end of the day so that I could go meet them from school. And then we could hang out after school. Because, there was just, who needs English? Who needs math?
Yeah, I was.
And who needs PSE?
But no.
I don't know if you have that across in the States or in Canada, but nobody needs that stuff. I mean,
Nothing. Yeah, we had all the same classes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, English, especially now, I really wish I had paid more attention to. I was really good with like the media side of it and the poetry side of it, and like Shakespeare. But when it came to like English lit, like not English lit, like the English language and grammar and that. I mean, honestly,
they split those into two separate classes when I went. There was English literature and English grammar. They had those as two separate English classes we had to take. They were mandatory.
Over here we only have one, and it encompasses all sorts. I mean, we did media, we did literature, screenplays, all of that. But I mean, I really wish now that the grammar side of it, I'd have paid more attention to.
Yeah, I understand. We also were supposed to take French, and I kind of regret not continuing that. I think that could have came in quite useful if I had learned it properly. I didn't want to at the time, and there's reasons for that, which I won't get into now. But I regret not learning it. I could have
That was
actually had more
compulsory
job
for us.
opportunities, and yeah,
Yeah, that was compulsory for us in high school,
yeah, should have been
right from the age of like 11 years old when we start high school. It was compulsory for us to do 2 languages. French was just, you had to do that, and then you had a choice between German and Spanish. So I always chose Spanish because I don't like the German language. No offense to anybody who's German, but for me, that doesn't sound right coming out of my mouth. And I got like A stars throughout. Now I can barely remember a word of Spanish or French.
Yeah, I can't remember hardly anything from my 2 years taking Spanish too.
I even did Japanese, you know.
I wanted to learn Japanese. Yeah.
I can just remember one phrase and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, my memory is just ridiculous. This is what makes me a bad Trekkie, is my memory. Because, you know, I mean, for example, I only watched the episode The Wire. Like, I finished it about an hour before the show. And I've probably forgotten half of it. This is why, especially when it comes to new Trek, I always try and watch it so that it finishes, like the episode finishes just before I jump on here. You know, I've got just enough time to get myself sorted, prepare anti-homicide juice, you know, and then we can discuss it, because I do forget a hell of a lot. But yeah,
I have to jump in. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to cut off. I'm supposed to be doing a live with Enrique, and I told him, I says I'd be a little after 9 o'clock, and it's about quarter after. So I'm going to have to jump off, I'm afraid.
Oh, that's okay, Philip. I think we're going to call it good for this week, anyways.
Next week, I know it'll probably start a bit later if I do this. So if you're doing this, do you do this? I can't remember if it's every week.
Yeah, we're doing it every Wednesday again, and next week we're going to talk the DS9 episode Armageddon Game.
Armageddon Gate.
Yeah, game.
Armageddon Game. All right.
It's the episode with the harvesters that they make it look like Bashir and O'Brien died in an accident, and they're trying to run away, and O'Brien got infected.
All right.
And then the week after that we're going to talk the shoot from Voyager. So I already got the next 2 episodes lined up. It's all a friendship theme going there.
Yes.
I'm going to jump off first, and then I'll let you guys say goodnight, because I better get mine started here. Enrique's been messaging me wondering when I'm going to start, so I better get over and get going. So
I'll see you next week.
All right, folks, have a good night.
See you next week.
Will do. Yeah, I can't do it with my left. Yeah, good night.
Yeah, see, I can't do it to save my life with my right hand, so I can do it with my left, no problem.
No.
I'm a lefty, so I'm in my right mind at least. So.
There you go. All right, good night, folks.
Good night.
Good night, sweetheart. But no, I always find it strange that people can't do it with both hands.
Yeah, see, mine looks like the. I can kind of do it, but not. But ooh, I can do the sarcastic salute.
No, it's just. Yeah, it's just. Yeah, I find it weird that people can only do it with one hand, because I've always been able to do it with both. And I used to be ambidextrous, because I developed tendonitis in my right hand, and so I had no choice but to learn. And this was like towards the end of high school as well, when I was being home educated. and I had to get my work done. And I think I was overworking. So all the writing I was doing, it set off an RSI. And it flared up tendonitis. So I had no choice but to teach myself how to do things, including writing with my left hand. And I really do wish that I'd have kept that up. Because now, if I was to try and write with my left hand, it would look worse than a kindergartner's handwriting, you know.
Yeah,
Honestly, it does.
Yeah, me try to write right-handed. Not happening. I can't even make out what
Yeah.
I'm writing.
I mean, I'm trying to do more things with my left hand, especially with me typing a lot now. Like I'm using my mouse with my left hand, and that's very challenging. Especially with my brain being the way it is now, you know, I find it hard to brain a lot of the time.
I can totally relate.
So I'm trying to do more things with my left hand. I mean, I am left-handed with some things like cutlery. I'm left-handed with. I always have my knife in my left hand, and it's always been natural for me. But everyone's like, "You're right-handed. You should have your knife in your." But no, it's just how I've always been, and I pour with my left hand normally. Oh, I don't like that word. Usually, I pour with my left hand. Certain things I will cut with my left hand and things like that. But I am like predominantly right-handed, which I find strange because I'm like, would that mean I'm right-brained?
Well, they just say that the the right half of your brain deals with like a lot of the critical thinking, emotions. I forget what the
Oh, so
how
yeah, then it is certain I'm never in my right mind. But I know that like the left side of your brain is supposed to be like your creativity and things like that. Which, you know, I'm using a lot of my left brain recently. But I just struggle to brain, Dave. I don't know how I get by in life. And I don't know how I remember any of these episodes. I really don't, even when I'm only watching them like just before the show. But no, I do like this episode. It solidifies a hell of a lot for Julian and Garrick.
Yeah.
Although I remember when I first watched this, and even at a young age, I always looked deeper into things and more, you know, like the psychological side of things. And I remember when I first watched the episode, I was watching it with a friend of mine from college, because he didn't mind track. And I remember saying to him, like, I think round about halfway through the episode, it was before Bashir left to go see the Obsidian Order dude, Tane. I actually turned around to my friend Ian and I said, "Do you know what? Garrick is Elim." And he went, "No." I went, "Yeah, the way that he's talking about him, it's almost like he's rehearsed this in his brain." I said, "It's almost like he's conditioned himself to speak about Elim as a second person when he really isn't. Elam and Garrick are one in the same. And he went, nah, you're looking too deep into this. I went, I swear I'm not. I said, if I am, I will hold my hands up to it for me being, silly thinking. But then we was watching it, and Bashir went off on his little side mission. And then when Tane said Elam is Garrick's first name, Ian just looked at me and went, holy crap, how the hell did you work that out? I mean, at the time I was 16
Mm-hmm.
when I first watched this episode of DS9, because I was like I said, I'm very behind with Trek, but I was. And he couldn't understand how I worked it out, but that was the first time I had a conversation with someone about how deep I look into things. And I mean, if I didn't look so deep into things, I don't think I would have got that when we was watching season 3 of Picard. I don't think I would have picked up on the Irumodic syndrome thing. And some of the hidden meanings behind the episodes as well. I don't think I'd pick up on them. But I like looking deeper into things, and I think it's because I've watched a lot of murder mysteries growing up. I mean, I grew up on Sherlock Holmes and Murder, She Wrote, like Agatha Christie, Arthur Conan Doyle. I grew up with those, so I think that's why I tend to look a lot deeper into things. It's one of the reasons why I got so into Criminal Minds, because they basically do with the criminals what I do with people and TV shows and things. So that's kind of easy watching for me, because they do all the work for me. And so I'm not braining as hard, but no, this is a very deep episode, The Wire. And it really does highlight addiction and withdrawals and the very up and down journey. I mean, I can honestly say the only thing I've ever been addicted to in my life, as in substances, is smoking cigarettes. That's that. But I escaped addiction to opioids and narcotics because I was, oh, there we go, back Katie is here. Yeah, just hanging around, oh, for goodness sake. There we go, that's better. I don't know what's up, Pat,
Well, you were up.
what was that, sorry?
You were up. That's what was up.
Exactly, I'm magic. Well, I did warn you that I'm a witch. But no, because of the cocktail that I was on, because of a medical condition, when I finally stopped taking them, they wanted to wean me off them. And they already had everything in place for me to go into rehab. And I'm just like, no, if I don't need them, I'm not going to be on them. And they were really concerned about withdrawals. And somehow I escaped. I didn't develop a dependency or an addiction, and I didn't need any form of rehabilitation. I just came off them cold turkey. I didn't suffer any ill effects from them, and that they didn't understand why. But I know how lucky I am. I have friends who have suffered with addiction of, some way, shape, or form. Drugs, alcohol, it. And this is why I very rarely take my pain medication, even though I really should, because it's tramadol, highly addictive, and I don't like my chances of escaping it a second time. But I've seen firsthand people struggle with addiction, and then struggle with getting, like, stopping their addiction and the withdrawals. And it's heartbreaking to see, it's painful to see, and the way it was presented in this episode of The Wire, I think it was done beautifully, because it really did highlight that struggle, the severe mood swings. You know, I mean, 1 minute Garrett sat sobbing, and the next minute is throwing things around, you know, is going on the offensive, is not listening to Julian, and then you know, he attacks him. And, you know, that happens. And it watching this episode was quite heartbreaking, because of how true to life it actually is. And I think that's what people who watch this episode, but also watch other episodes of Trek as well, I think it's one thing that people need to be fully aware of, is Trek touches on subjects that are very real. And it could be very in your face, like the struggles with addiction in The Wire, or it could be something a little bit more subtle because of the way that it's being done, like in Sub Rosa. You know, the sex scandal episode as we know it, Hugo's favorite episode, and he's not here to deny it. So, love you, Hugo. But like the message of Sub Rosa for me, and this shocks the hell out of people sometimes when I say it, is abusive and controlling relationships. That is basically what that episode is all about. Somebody taking advantage of another person when they are in a very vulnerable frame of mind, and then subtly gaining control over them, and they end up abandoning their life for this person, and abandoning their family and friends, and it's just all about them, you know. But not a lot of people see that with that episode, because it's all about the sex scandal, you know. So there are more subtle messages in Trek, but I really do hope that people do look out for these hidden messages and really do think about them, because it's important, you know, that they do this for a reason, that they want you to think, that they want you to understand that these things are happening in the real world. There are people out there who are in abusive and controlling relationships. There are people out there who are going through serious addiction, who are going through serious withdrawals. You know, there are conflicts going on in the world. There is corruption in politics. There is corruption in police forces, you know. And in some way, shape or form, Trek covers all of that. You know, there's conflict over religion, over territory, people thinking they're better than others. You know, all of these messages are within Trek. And I hope that people get those messages, because they're important to know. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
I do go off on a tangent sometimes.
It was a good tangent. It was on topic, so it wasn't technically at all. It was all Trek.
It was. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah. Are you hearing a whistle on your end?
No, but I do have my fans on.
Okay, yes, I started noticing it a little while. So yeah, it's like it's a windy whistle. So
Yeah, I've got my fans. I don't know if you've noticed, but my shirt is now off and it is thrown to a side. I am I am on fire.
hmm.
And it's only what's temperature in your language? It's only 60 degrees here at the minute, Fahrenheit. Which translate to like 16 Celsius.
Yeah, it's 74 outside, 83 in my room right now in
Well,
Fahrenheit.
I don't know the temperature of my room, but it's probably
Warmer.
yeah. More than likely, and I've got my windows open. Thankfully, I've got mosquito netting up, but I've got my windows open. I've got two fans on there. I've got a fan because of how warm it is. I've got a fan on my PC.
Hmm.
I've got like three fans running in my room, and they're all at different angles. One of them's an air purifier, and it literally just belts out cold air as it purifies the air. So it don't matter where in the room that is, but I can feel the cold air circulating, and yet I'm on fire.
Wait.
Yeah. So I'm surprised I'm not as red as my top at the moment. But no, you can probably see on my arms where I'm slightly blotchy because of the heat, and as well as my
Now
legs.
that you mentioned, yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. All right.
Mm. Yes, because of how warm I am.
But yes, we're pretty much plumb out of topics, and we're at 93 minutes. And oh, I just got a blip from Mala.
What was that? Sorry.
No, I just got a blip from Mala, but it's not sure what it was. I think it might have came through Discord. Yeah, it came through Discord.
No, it must have been a DM.
Oh, it's something to just make note of. I was doing some research on my phone, so it's not that I'm not interested in the conversation. I was looking at stuff to talk about the conversation. So
Yes. Although Malar has just put a comment on saying read that after the show.
what?
Malar's just put a comment on YouTube saying read that after the show.
Oh, well, too late. I already read it. But yeah, we're pretty much good at this point, so we're gonna call it good. Next week, Armageddon game. So peace out, everybody.
Doodles.